Yeah. Big JTV. Like, comment, subscribe. And also go vote on some of the polls I have up. I'm going to be releasing membership exclusive only content. It might be live streams. It might be early access to videos. It might be even some vlogs or behind the scene content. So if you're interested in that, I want y'all to check it out. You know what I mean? And show your boy some love. But I'm going to talk about this Steve Wilks situation, right? So yesterday, the San Francisco 49ers, in their infinite wisdom, decided their first offseason move is not firing Shanahan. Or not even demoting Shanahan. No. We're going to blame the defensive coordinator, right? Steve Wilks, right? The individual, right? Who was able to bring your team. Let me actually clarify this. He was able to hold the Kansas City Chiefs offense to one touchdown, a fluke touchdown, really, in regulation, in 4 quarters. And that touchdown happened because of a special teams muffed punt, in a sense. That's why it happened. Other than that, the entire Chiefs offense, especially the first half of the football game, was an utter disaster. They were in complete collapse. They were going to the red zone, fumbling on the red zone. You know what I mean? We're talking about Pacheco. Patrick Mahomes had thrown an interception, his only interception in the postseason. And, every single thing you wanted from the defense was going great. They stopped the run. Literally, the only good run in the entire game was Patrick Mahomes in overtime. That's it. When Patrick Mahomes ran for 20 yards in overtime, that was their only legitimate good run play, and it was basically a triple option trick play that I personally believe that, Andy Reid schemed up. And that's the interesting conversation here. When you see Steve Wilks, an individual who was placed in Arizona, right, to be almost like a placeholder. That's what he was. He was in Arizona for one season with the Josh Rosen-led Cardinals. Let me repeat what I just said. Josh Rosen-led Cardinals. Third time's the charm. Josh Rosen-led Cardinals. Now, if you don't know who Josh Rosen is, I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you. Because 6 years ago, Josh Rosen was drafted before Lamar Jackson. Yes, he was in the same draft as Lamar Jackson. And he was drafted before Lamar. Yes, it's hilarious right now. Why? Because Josh Rosen is probably somewhere flipping burgers. Terrible quarterback. Absolute garbage. And guess who had to oversee his rookie season? Yes, Steve Wilks. Like I just said, Steve Wilks had to deal with Josh Rosen as his quarterback. Of course, they lost a lot of games. I think they went like 4-12, and they had lost so many games. They had enough draft capital to be the number one team to draft Kyler Murray. And then guess who got hired after? Cliff Kingsbury, who was a losing coach. Let me repeat what I just said. He was a losing coach. Third time's the charm. He was a losing coach at Texas Tech. Had a cumulative losing record. I think he was 20-40 or some crazy stat like that. But because he had some kind of connection to Kyler, they were boys, or he was the head coach while Kyler was at Texas Tech. Steve Keim and the Arizona Cardinals, infinite wisdom, decided, let's just blow everything up and go with an unproven college coach and give him the rings to one of the 32 football operations in the world, multi-billion dollar football club. Yeah, let's give him the keys. Pathetic. So then Steve Wilks goes to the Carolina Panthers. Pathetic team. They rightfully fire Matt Rule, who was a terrible coach. And, Steve Wilks was the interim coach. Flip the culture. Keep in mind, Steve Wilks is, a South Carolina guy. So he fits into the culture of the state, of the football club. Instead of transferring him in, doing what the Raiders did, which is smart, where they put in Antonio Pierce, they decided to bring in, Frank Reich, who just recently got fired from the Colts. Less than 10 weeks into the season, Frank Reich gets fired. Crazy. But then he goes to the Niners. And the thing about Steve Wilks and his defense, yes, during that their losing streak, the Niners went through a 3-game losing streak. I think they lost to the Cleveland Browns, Bengals, and another team. They made an adjustment and made Steve Wilks go from the booth to being on the field to actually helping call defenses. And their defense turned up. The San Francisco defense was a top 5 defense throughout the season. Now, in the playoffs, they didn't look that great. But I would attribute a bit of that to the offense not balancing it out. Because let me tell you something. In the modern NFL, if the offense sets up the defense in a sense, if the offense is able to control time of possession, the defense will be rested and ready to make plays. If the offense makes very few mistakes, very few turnovers, the defense doesn't have to be on the field as long. And when you have an energetic defense, you have time to make plays. Right? If you look at that Super Bowl, most of the major plays really were by the defense, man. The defense were making stops on Mahomes. They got, I think they caused like 5 fumbles. They recovered 1, but they caused a ton of fumbles, man. You had the Chiefs' offense looking very weak most of the game until overtime, where they went crazy. I'm gonna give them that. But for me, I look at it like this. This is Steve Wilks' first season with the Niners, bruh. First season. And y'all letting him go. And then you look on the other side of the field. The other side of the field really, the other side of the field. You look at Kyle Shanahan, who now this is his 3rd Super Bowl that he's been the offensive coordinator / coach. And he has found a way to blow double-digit leads. Why? In Atlanta versus New England, he could have ran the ball. Stop doing that. He put the ball in Matt Ryan's hand, and Ryan kept on throwing 3 and outs. You look at the Jimmy Garoppolo Super Bowl about 4 years ago. Could have ran the ball more. You know what I mean? You had Raheem Mostert having an amazing season. You know what I mean? You had Coleman having an amazing season, right? It's like, what's going on? And in this Super Bowl, instead of getting Kittle involved in the game, and Kittle was one of the best tight ends this season, they stopped doing that. Kittle only had 4 yards this entire Super Bowl. 4 yards. And you can't make the excuse that, the Chiefs defense was, keeping Kittle out of the game, because if you look at the game, the San Francisco defense was keeping, Travis Kelce out of the game in the first half. And then in the second half, you had Mahomes force-feeding Kelce, and that was able to get him moving, get him some motion, get him some heat. They could have done the same thing with Kittle. Shanahan could have done something with Debo. Debo was barely getting any touches. Brandon Ayuk, barely getting any touches. There wasn't a lot of trickery or creative plays in the second half. Why? Because what Kyle Shanahan wanted to do was to give the ball and leave the ball in, Brock Purdy's hands the whole time. And you see what happened, right? Instead of looking at Shanahan and noticing a pattern, right? They go with Steve Wilks. He's the scapegoat. He's the excuse. Pathetic. The defense was playing great, and even the Chiefs players were talking about that. But you want to take the defensive coordinator. Pathetic. And I'm telling you right now, Kyle Shanahan has a lot of John Harbaugh in him. It's the arrogance. It's the thinking that I'm not the problem. It's also about the money. You're going to protect the money guy. You're going to protect the guy who has the long-term contract instead of looking in the mirror and saying, what's wrong with me? And what is my issue? Why can't I manage the clock to finish out a game? Kyle Shanahan can't do that. The Niners can't do that, and that's why they're still going to fail. I predict this defense is going to get a lot worse next season, and I think the Niners will have a rough time getting out of the NFC West because the Rams are coming, and the Seahawks are coming with Mike McDonald. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below, man. Another terrible offseason move, and we just less than a week in it, man. Big J TV, man. I'm out.